Hello, welcome to the latest episode of the Insta Network. So this episode we are talking about large footprint games. So big, hefty, space hogs, big games. Really big. Big old footprint on the table. Here we go.
Hi friends, I'm the Board Game Renegade, and I'm glad to be back here on the Insta Network. I have missed a few episodes in a row due to some personal issues, but I am back for this episode, and I'm glad to be back. So today we're talking about some large footprint games. My favorite large footprint game is my favorite game that there is, and that is Memoir 44. Memoir 44 is a simple war game that takes place on a decent sized board. The board is a 6-fold board, which is slightly bigger than your standard game board that comes in one of those normal squared boxes that designer games come in. One side has a beachfront, the other side is a countryside. As you can see, the board is pretty big, and on this board goes a bunch of little plastic miniatures to represent troops, tanks, artillery, sandbags, little hedgehogs, which are those metal things that go on the beach. And it also takes a bunch of terrain tiles, which are cardboard, and go on top. So there's a bunch of figures, a bunch of things here in Memoir 44. But the game does have a pretty big footprint, but it gets bigger and better if you are into the game and you buy some of the expansions. For example, you can buy a second copy of Memoir 44 and combine the boards together to play the Overlord variants, which supports up to 8 players. The base game only supports 2 players. That version supports up to 8 players, with 2 players play as the commander-in-chief, and then 6 players play as the field generals. So it makes the game that much bigger and leaves that much of a footprint. If you want to play that version of the game, I do recommend getting this expansion right here, which is the Operation Overlord expansion, which adds even more. First of all, it gives you cards to play the Overlord game without making tweaks to the original cards. It also comes with more dice, so that each of the field generals, if you have 2 base sets, will have 4 dice, so they don't have to keep passing the dice. It also comes with some cardboard soldiers in case you need any more and you don't have enough miniatures. So you can get that, and it makes the game even bigger. But wait, you can make the game even bigger. If you don't like the western fronts of the war, which is what comes in the base game, you can get the Eastern Front, which adds more miniatures, the Russian miniatures. It also adds more scenarios. This is a scenario-based game. Base game comes with about 14 scenarios. Each of these small expansions does provide more scenarios. So you get this, you get the Russians, and you get to fight in the Eastern Front, and you get a whole bunch of cardboard and more things. Or if the Mediterranean theater was your thing, you get the Mediterranean theater. Okay, you get more soldiers here. You get more cardboard here. You get to fight on the desert. And you get to have fun with this expansion with more scenarios as well. And then you can get the Winter Wars expansion, which you could fight in the winter, which is awesome. And now you're thinking, oh wow, the board in that the board was colorful, and it's the jungle and grasslands and a beachside. How are you going to play the winter and the desert? This is how you buy the winter desert board as well. One side is the desert, the other side is the winter. It also has some variants to the rules that come with that as well. So as you can see, the game gets a little more complex and busier with the more expansions that you do get. There's also the terrain pack, which adds more tiles. It tells you how to use the tiles, gives you more scenarios as well, and it just gives you a whole bunch of new terrain. You need that. And then you may want to play something that is not the Overlord game, but you want a bigger game instead of the base game. So what you want to do is you want to get the Breakthrough expansion, which gives you 2 larger boards, which are 50% bigger than the base game boards. And it comes with 2 of them. You get the winter and the desert, and you get the beach and the grassland one in the expansion, and you get this big book with scenarios on how to play the Breakthrough. You can play the Breakthrough with the regular cards that come in the base game. However, the Winter Wars that I mentioned before comes with a deck of cards that is specific to play Breakthrough. So it is specifically made to play Breakthrough. You don't have to tweak the regular cards. So that is awesome. I like playing Breakthrough. And then you have the Pacific Theater. If you want to fight in the Pacific, this comes with the Japanese army. Different rules also, more cardboard pieces, and more scenarios as well as the other small expansions. And if that wasn't enough plastic miniatures for you, you can get the equipment pack, which comes with a whole bunch of miniatures, so that you don't have to use some cardboard tokens for some of the things in some of the scenarios. And this also adds more scenarios. There's also more rules. And check this out, it comes with a bunch of miniatures. So yes, the game can even potentially get bigger because there is an air pack that adds planes. It is out of print. I do not currently have it, but I am searching for it, and I think I'm going to get a copy soon. And there is also the D-Day Beach Landing expansion, which is 6 maps put together. Each of the maps is bigger than the Breakthrough maps, and you put them together and you do the Operation Neptune, the big D-Day Beach Landing scenario, and that supports up to 12 players. I would love to play that, but you need to have so much of this stuff in order to play and enjoy that. Anyway, folks, this is my favorite large footprint game. It is also my favorite game. If it looks interesting, really do check it out. We need more Memoir 44 players out there. Anyway, folks, I'm the Board Game Renegade. I'm glad to be back here on the Insta Gamers Network. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, peace out, folks.
Hey everyone, it's Angela here for Insta Gamers Network, and today we're looking at large footprint games, and I'm going to be checking out this bad boy right here, Star Wars Rebellion. Super rusty. So here we have it, Star Wars Rebellion's definitely a huge footprint game. I'm not going to run through all the rules because you've probably seen them. There's run-throughs, playthroughs, all sorts of things on YouTube. Purely wanted to highlight this as a game that you should have. If you're a Star Wars fan, you've probably already got it. If you're not a Star Wars fan, I'd still recommend this one. It's really cool. Let me crack it open, show you what's inside. Okay, so here's the board. Whoo! There you have it. That is a large footprint. So what are players trying to do here? The rebels are trying to hide. The Empire's trying to find them and wipe them out. It's basically Star Wars or The Empire Strikes Back or whatever. Comes with all of the classic characters from Star Wars. Graphics are great. The gameplay is great. Might go for a little long for some. Definitely goes a little long for some. And game board aside, it comes with over 150 miniatures. That's a whole lot of miniatures. Yeah, that's a lot. Needless to say, this being based on the Star Wars universe, the Galactic Empire is massive, so they've got more miniatures. And the poor little rebels have to hide on the board, the Galactic Empire trying to find them. They manage to hide and build up enough of a resistance, they're going to win. If they're not found out. And of course, if the Empire find them, they're just going to smite them because of sheer brute force. I highly recommend Star Wars Rebellion, whether you're a Star Wars fan or not. It's a great game. You just need a big table because it's a big footprint. Catch you next time. This video needs something to zhuzh it up a bit. And just to show you what a huge Star Wars fan I am, here's a picture of my grandkids on the weekend. My grandson is Jyn Erso, one of his favourite characters, and my granddaughter is Rey. That's made this video so much better, right?
Hello, it's Lindsay here, as you might know on Instagram, Shiny Have Meeples. So as you know, this episode we're talking about large footprint games. I would have loved to talk about Anachrony, because it's a massive footprint game. But I can't talk about it because I haven't played it yet. I am going to talk about another favourite of mine, which is also a large footprint game, Eclipse. I love Eclipse. I think there's definitely a sci-fi sort of theme going on here. Both Anachrony and Eclipse are sort of sci-fi, heavy sci-fi games. which is definitely like my taste. So you spend a lot of this game building up your spacecrafts, making them bigger, better, more powerful, better in combat. You're exploring different territory. You've got tiles numbered 1, 2 and 3, and so depending on where you want to go, they then sort of spread out. They have to be joined by like wormhole type things. The territories that you end up in and are able to build on, that's where your points really lie. And a lot of that obviously then feeds into the conflicting with other players and other aliens, because some of the tiles come out with an alien on it, so you have to fight them in order to get that territory. You have to work on your technology, that's what you need to upgrade your ships. And so you're using your resources as like your currency to do that. So there's quite a lot going on, but it's not an overly complicated game by any means. It's all fairly straightforward once you get your head around the rules, and once you've played a few times. It is a huge game though, really, because it's got so many bits and pieces to it. Even your playboard is just chock full of wooden cubes and wooden discs, because that's what you're using as like your resources and your currency and to take your actions. And when you start getting the tiles out on the table, then it starts kind of spreading even further. The most frustrating thing I find with this game is that the technologies are all on just one board. You can only be put at one end of the table, so if you're little like me, then you're constantly sort of either peering over, or you've got to actually just sort of stand up and walk around to have a look to see what technologies you want, because they're printed really small. So that can be quite frustrating. I really enjoy this game though. I love that when you do the combats with the other players, and when you're fighting an alien, another player will roll the dice for them. So I just love the fighting, because obviously if you've built a really good ship, like I try to do during my games, then it makes it a lot easier to take out like the big ones sort of thing. But that is kind of luck based, because it's based on dice rolling. But if you've got a good ship, then luck shouldn't matter too much. But yeah, it's just really fun, and it is a big old space hog, I must say. So yeah, I think that sums up my large footprint game. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Hey friends, Chubby Meeple back here. Another video, the Insta Gamers Network. This week we are talking about large footprint games. So today I want to talk to you about King of Tokyo, designed by Richard Garfield and published by Yellow... What? Large footprint games. Yeah, large feet print. What do you mean King of Tokyo is not large feet print? What is bigger feet print than Gigazor or the King? Those are gigantic feet. The game having a large foot... Games don't have feet. I'm so confused. Oh, taking up a lot of space on the table. So something like Firefly with all of its expansions. New Angeles, 4 to 6 players, gigantic board. Fun game. How about Scythe, especially with the expansion board? Those are fantastic. Those types of games? Okay, well, I guess we'll just go with those 3. Have a good one. Keep gaming, friends.
Hi, welcome back to the Insta Gamers Network. Today we're talking about large footprint games that take up a lot of space on the table. My choice is a little controversial, but it takes up a whole lot of space. Of course, the game I'm talking about is Monopoly. We are here in San Jose, California at Guadalupe River Park, home of the world's largest permanent Monopoly board. Now, I think in 2016 somebody beat the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's largest Monopoly board, but as far as I know, dedicated in 2002, this is still the world's largest permanent Monopoly board.
So let's go take a look at Monopoly in the Park. Alright, well, there's one problem with this game. There are no cards, there are no tokens, there's no paper money, thank God. But there are these dice. So let's give them a roll, hope for doubles, and let's see what happens. I pooed a little. So if you ever find your way to San Jose and come see Monopoly in the Park, the closest thing to tokens you'll find are these beautiful sculptures. This frog, that bird, a beaver. Look at this glorious beast. So majestic, so furry.
If there's one idea that gets me into a game more than any other, then it's got to be the idea of exploration. I love the promise of possibility, exploring every nook and cranny on the board, never knowing what you're going to find or what's going to be around the next corner. Now, the best exploration games give you a huge board to explore and leave a large footprint on the table. And one of my favorite games that does this is Islebound. Islebound is a nautically themed exploration and area control game by Ryan Lockett and Red Raven Games. It gives players a beautiful board filled with islands to explore. On this board, you will find villages with peasants that need help, sea monsters and pirates to tame and hire, treasure to loot, and townships that are ripe for the taking by force or diplomacy. Each player has a crew at their disposal. These crew members can aid in any of these tasks. An administrator will help complete tasks and let you stop on a space with another player. These dice crew members will allow you to add a die to an attack. A crew member with this symbol lets you gain influence through negotiation, and these crew members allow you to sail farther distances. As you set out to explore the world of Islebound, you'll notice that each island is different and gives you options as to what you can do. To visit an island, players must first pay a tax to enter. Players then can perform that island's tasks. Don't feel like visiting? Well, then you can take over the island by two different ways: by force through combat and through diplomacy. If you want to take an island by force, you need to have enough pirates and sea monsters to do your bidding. You can just make those people walk the plank if you want. If you want to take a more peaceful approach, however, you can pay influence from the influence track to take control. If you control an island, then the tasks that can be performed there can be done so for free. Score is measured by how much renown a player has. Players can brag about their accomplishments using these reputation cards. Once you hit 7 renown on the renown track, you get a special token that adds to your score at the end of the game. Renown can also be gained by purchasing buildings and adding them to your town. These buildings will give you a special ability as well as you explore the islands. The player that builds a certain number of buildings, depending on player count, triggers the end of the game, and the player with the most renown at this point wins. So I hope you've enjoyed this look at a game that leaves a large footprint on your table but gives you so much to explore. We'll see you next time. Take to the sea.
And that wraps up our episode, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Bye.